Can you beat Dark Souls with only bleed weapons? Today I'm going to channel my inner ninja and find out. These are some of the most unique dexterity weapons in the game. By attacking enemies, you build up the bleed status effect, and once it reaches its peak, you'll take out a large portion of their total health. I've only ever dabbled with these weapons in previous playthroughs, so I'm excited to see what they can really do. And to make things more interesting, I'm going to fight all bosses. You see, I have a slight confession to make. I've never actually beaten Artorias' DLC, so come along with me as I face off against Artorias, Kalameet, and Manus for the first time. For this run, I'll be choosing the Thief, since he's the only starting class with a bleed weapon. I give my character a beautiful face and a fitting name, and it's time to begin our journey through Undead Asylum. I want to collect as many bleed weapons as I can this run, and the very first one will be the Bandit's Knife. I put it to use right away on Oscar, and go for the plunge on Asylum Demon. So how does the bleed effect actually work? Well, in Dark Souls 1, there's only two options for the stat number, either 300 or 500. These represent the percentage an enemy's health bar will be damaged when you proc bleed. Just take off a 0 and make it a percent. These percentages only apply to enemies though. Bosses receive a reduced number at either 10 or 15%. Nevertheless, this is quite a powerful effect when you can pull it off. The Asylum Demon goes down easy, and I start pumping levels into dexterity like a madman. While I'm in Firelink, I pick up the Morning Star. The route I have in mind is a bit of a crazy one. Some might even say foolish. And it all begins with a deep dive into the catacombs. I'm definitely going to want to grab the first fire. Can you guys chill for 5 seconds while I pull this lever? We're all undead here, come on. After getting nice and toasty, I make my way around town. You know, for guys without a body, you sure know how to body block and exit. For some reason, this is giving me flashbacks to Spy Kids 2. The part where he steals from them and they come back to life used to freak me out as a kid. Anyway, it's time to grab the weapon I came here for. Sorry, my Dark Souls platforming skills are a little rusty, but this time I got it. The Great Scythe should be quite strong for the early game, although I'll need to level up strength before I can wield it properly. From the Undead Merchant, I purchase the Reinforced Club, and then I pick a fight to get my hands on that shiny Uchi katana. Sorry, but I'm gonna need this for my ninja cosplay. I start heading downtown for what I know will be very unpleasant business. I'm able to open the door to the Valley of the Drakes with my thievery skills, and make my way all the way down to the bottom of Blighttown. That's not the bad part though. What I've really been dreading is ascending the icky half of Blighttown to get the rest of the gear that we'll need for this run. Well hey, at least I have the strength I need to wield the Great Scythe now. Alright Blighttown, do your worst. At last, I'm able to snatch up the Yato katana and my new ninja drip. It's time to put it on for the rest of the game and take out the parasitic wall hugger. You never know when power within might come in handy. The climb out of Blighttown should be easy at least. I spend a little time showing the Black Knight who's boss with my shiny new scythe, and carry on to the Taurus Demon. I decide to two-hand for some extra damage, and stagger him pretty early on. After a few well-timed rolls, I'm actually able to get in some beautiful bleed damage. Soon after, he knocks me directly into the corner. I go to heal, but he literally steps on me. You really think you can disrespect me like that, Taurus Demon? How do you like a scythe to the crotch? I take a trip to Darkroot to go pick up Old Reliable, and I might as well take out the Black Knight while I'm here, right? Ninja Slash! Well, second time's the charm. Now we can move on to gargoyles. You've gotta be joking. How does this always happen? I say hi to my Drake friends, and steal a ring from a dead guy. Surely the gargoyles will be no match for my crazy bleed damage. You know, running back into this corner to panic chug Estus is a really bad habit. It never ends well. On my second attempt, I brave the flames and try to keep them both in my sight the entire time. And without much trouble, the gargoyles go down. That's the first bell rung, and I'm hoping to get my hands on the Life Hunt Scythe for the endgame, which not only does crazy bleed damage to enemies, but to the wielder as well, which means we'll need all the bleed resistance we can get. I take out Buff Rocky Boy for his sweet Demon Titanite, and then I pulled off a sick ninja move on the Armored Boar. One nice thing about the Scythe is it can hit really low. Oh come on! Capra's up next, and attempt number 1 goes just as poorly as you'd expect. On the second go round, I get up the stairs and deal with the first dog. He's annoying, but not too much trouble. Thankfully, I'm able to take out the second one with my plunging attack. And Capra really didn't stand a chance with damage this crazy. I free a homeless man from a barrel, and get assaulted by a very spiky man. It's all part of the plan though, because he's got our next bleed weapon, the Barbed Straight Sword. Gaping Dragon is next up on the hit list, and I take out that slimy scaly tail of his. He's definitely got a heftier health bar than the last few bosses, but by wailing on his booty and exercising a bit of patience, I'm able to take him down first try. Laurentius hooks me up with Pyromancy Flame, and I think it's time to show off my magnificent ninja skills. My ninja toes are tingling. I decide to give the Uchi Katana a shot for the Quelaag fight. It's less damage than the Scythe, but I'm able to get in a lot more swings quickly, which is what I want for bleed. I bust out Power Within, which boosts my attack at the cost of some health. I'm actually playing pretty clutch for my first attempt. Wait a second, where did I go? By some miracle, I'm able to avoid the explosion attacks, and slowly chip my way to victory. I use the souls to buy the Crest of Artorias, and befriend a talking cat. Shiva gives me the lowdown on his goodies. Then it's time to torture a butterfly, just like elementary school all over again. Hold up, what is this attack? How does Dark Souls still have so many surprises? With the butterfly gone, I head down to Sen's fortress. Oh frick. You know, I always forget to place the Lord Vessel, but forgetting to ring one of the bells was not on my bingo card. For now, I think we'll take a slight detour. I climb the tower and hitch a ride with the crow. It's time for everybody's favorite thick boy, Stray Demon. I might be a little underleveled for this fight, but bleed is working wonders. Why are these explosion attacks so disproportionately big? I can run, but I can't hide. I decide to switch things up with the Scythe, since I'm only able to get in a few hits at a time anyway. After dying a few too many times, I start respecting his explosion more, but sometimes I still don't even realize it's coming. Somehow I got a good pattern and I was able to bait out the explosion from behind like 10 times in a row. But hey, I'm not complaining, I'll take what I can get. I'm gonna make sure not to forget the doll. I will have to run all the way down to the bottom of Blighttown again, but it's not a total waste of time. Shiva's down here now and sells quite a few bleed weapons. I buy the Washing Pole, Claw, and Flameberg from him. With my head back on straight, I ring the second bell of awakening. Okay, so the washing pole is kinda sick. This thing is Sephiroth levels of absurd with its length, and it just might be my new favorite weapon in the game. Of course, I bust out the golden pine resin to try to make Iron Golem fall off the edge, but with Dark Souls being the game that it is, things don't go exactly as planned. Okay, can we just appreciate for a minute that this swing actually hit? The reach on this weapon is incredible. I finish off the giant, and it's time for Anor Londo, baby. I run up the rooftops, but I'm not looking forward to the next part. You see, the Painting Guardian sword is a bleed weapon, but there's only a 2% chance that they'll drop it. You've gotta be kidding. Well, with outrageous luck on my side, I head into the painted world of Ariamis. First up on the agenda is a showdown with Jeremiah. Not only does he use pyromancy, but also the notched whip, which is a bleed weapon. Okay, well played. I quickly run it back to get my revenge, and snatch the notched whip for myself. There's potentially 2 weapons I could get from Priscilla if I play my cards right. The first one is her dagger by cutting off her tail. Guys, it didn't work. And now she's invisible. You know, the internet always makes these things sound so easy. Oh, you're struggling with Ceaseless? Just run to his fog gate and he'll sit there and let you cheese him. Then you go to do it and get one shot instantly. Oh, you want the dagger? Just stand behind Priscilla before the fight starts and she'll let you cut that tail right off. Curse you, internet! I guess I shouldn't be surprised. These are the same people that leave messages like, safe spot, on top of the traps in Sen's fortress. My new strategy is to roll behind the footprints of Priscilla and then attack. Apparently, she's supposed to reappear after you get enough hits in, but that doesn't seem to be happening. I even try to swing where I think her tail is. Apparently, it's not enough because I end up killing her with no dagger to show for it. But I do get her soul, which is what I need for the life hunt scythe. At last, we can use Priscilla's soul to ascend the Great Scythe into the Life Hunt Scythe. This thing will give us much better bleed damage, but it will also inflict bleed on us as well. Hopefully the Bloodbite ring that I bought earlier will mitigate most of those side effects. I take care of some business that's long overdue, and then it's time to meet up with a couple of old friends. Right off the bat, I test my luck using Power Within plus the Life Hunt Scythe. This should be a pretty lethal combo, once I get warmed up anyway. I play a little bit too defensively at first and get punished for it. Yeah, I'm not off to the best start with these two. My damage is looking pretty good, but somehow I always find a way to choke during this fight. I guess I'll just have to get good. With a switch back to the trusty washing pole and a little patience, I'm able to finish them off. Which means it's time to turn off the lights and go pay Gwendolyn a visit. He might have a long hallway, but there's no way he can outrun a ninja. By staying behind the pillars and running in zigzags, you can avoid most of his attacks. He's got a decent amount of health, but that shouldn't be a problem for bleed. I like how he's basically the only enemy in the game with machine gun arrows. But anyway, his teleporting was no match for my ninja skills. I upgrade the life hunt scythe to +3, and I actually remember to place the Lord Vessel. I head back to the catacombs next, and even bust out that cute little painting guardian sword. It feels especially petite after playing with the scythes and the washing bowl for so long. Okay, chill guys, chill. But even with its lackluster range, it's able to make quick work of patches. I guess bleed weapons really are the best. I continue exploring and collecting items, and get into a bit of a fight with the Black Knight, but I decide to bail on him. Okay, Bone Wheels, have mercy, please! Get me out of here. If that's not a miracle, I don't know what is. I make Pinwheel talk to the scythe, and after bumbling around in the dark, it's time to face Nito. Well, he doesn't waste much time, does he? On attempt number 1, I get a little overwhelmed by his minions, but on the run back, I start dodging his sword like it's nothing. Luckily, I can one-shot the little skeletons. What the heck? I've never seen this grab attack in my life. Put me down, you're barely doing any damage anyway. Well, that was weird, but I got this. I made the mistake of aggroing the big skeletons a couple of times, which did not end well for me. Soon after though, I had a really good run on my hands that was cut short by some janky level geometry. Thanks for that, Dark Souls. You know, another one of those internet myths is that you can avoid Nito's sword that pops out of the ground just by two-handing your weapon and blocking. I've tried it before, but it never works. Here, I'll show you right now. You've got to be joking. I've tried this on every playthrough and it's never done a thing. It must be weapon dependent. And with that new discovery, I was finally able to clutch it out and defeat Nito. Afterwards, I head back to Darkroot to meet up with Big Doggo Sif. I feel like she's one of the few bosses in the game who's easier to hit without locking on. Her only attack that scares me is the spinning 360, because it lasts for so long. But at this point, the Life Hunt Scythe is just too powerful, and I put the poor doggy to sleep. After that, I decided to head over to Duke's and take out some crystal guys. Things were going pretty good till I ran into this stupid table. Now don't judge me for this, but I could have sworn there were no mimics on the upper floor of Duke's. I even saw the uncurled chain, but I just had to open it, didn't I? I think it's time to get revenge on this annoying channeler. Okay, here we go. Curse you, table and chairs! Did you know that in the initial fight with Seath, the one where you're supposed to die, if you come to the very front corner of the arena, none of his crystals can hit you? I just figured that out, not that it's very useful information. I take out my reptilian prison guard, and now it's time to fight Seath for reals. I used the strategy that I figured out last run, which is to stay near the ends of his front tentacles to avoid the crystals. Things were going pretty well until I accidentally got behind him. I was able to dodge his slam attacks, but the swipe, not so much. He must have remembered that too, because that was the first thing he pulled out on the next attempt. I have no idea how I took no damage there. You know what? I really need to learn to keep my big mouth shut. But by sticking with the tried and true strategy, I was able to get the hits in and finish off the dragon. I waltz on down to New Londo, and I'm actually able to one-shot the ghosts. Wow, this is nice. I've never had such a relaxing time in New Londo before. I try one-shotting Ingrid as well, but he's got a little more health than the ghosts. The ghosts actually carry a bleed weapon themselves, but there's only a 1% chance that they'll drop it. Of course, you know my luck on this run so far. I knew it was only a matter of time until somebody dropped it. Now it's time to use my ninja skills to skip the Dark Wraith area. It's just too easy. Going into Four Kings, I had a bit of a dilemma to deal with. Currently, I had the Ring of Favor and Protection and the Bloodbite Ring equipped. To avoid breaking the Fap Ring, I decided to switch out the Bloodbite Ring for the Abyss one, but that meant I would have no protection against my own weapon's bleed effect. And when I did proc bleed, it took out about half my health bar. I knew right away that this wasn't going to be practical. I had no choice. I knew I had to break the Ring of Favor and Protection in order to use the Bloodbite Ring. But sometimes sacrifices just have to be made for the greater good. Unfortunately, even with the Bloodbite Ring, my bleed gauge was filling up faster than any boss so far. And I think it's just because the Four Kings have such a massive health bar. Self-inflicted bleed was just something I would have to deal with. And if things weren't bad enough, these guys were just absolutely spamming the explosion attack. I mean, look at this. Eventually I just stopped worrying so much about proccing bleed and started looking for safe opportunities to get my healing in. And when I ran out of Estus, I switched over to humanity. I only needed a few more hits to finish off the last king, and when I saw him charging the explosion, I just swung relentlessly. Okay guys, I'm trusting you. All I do to cheese him is take the clothes and run straight to the fog gate, right? You see, now what did I do wrong there? Please explain this to me in the comments. It looks like we're gonna have to fight him legitimately, if you can even call it that. And the only way I know how to do that is to bait out his fire attack and then dash to the side and jump. I'm not even sure if this is the intended solution, but after rinsing and repeating the same thing like 5 times, I take out this dumpster fire boss. Kirk shows up for round 2, but it didn't last for very long. He was kind enough to leave me the spike shield, which is the only shield in the game that can cause bleed. I don't know how practical its bashing attacks really are though. Demon Fire Sage was up next, and I wasn't too worried about him after all the practice I got with Stray Demon. I underestimated his range a few times, but bleed was working magic, and when he used a laggy butt slam, I was able to finish him off. The Centipede Demon was really focused on pushing me into the lava this run, but I took that personally and squished the bug. Do you think I can shower in this lava fall? Apparently not. It looks like Kirk's back already and he's got a chip on his shoulder. I suppose I deserved that. I can't let him have all the fun though. Now that he's gone for good, it's time to cheese the bed of chaos. If you saw my last Dark Souls challenge run where I played through the game as a tank build, you'll know that I was only half successful at cheesing it. But don't worry, this time I've watched more guides so I know exactly what to do. Now that I've thrown both fire bombs, I just have to stay on this right side to avoid the fire at the entrance. There's no way I can mess it up this time. With the Bed of Chaos and the Hydra out of the way, it's finally time to set up the DLC. I touch the Ominous Void and get pulled in by Manus. The Sanctuary Guardian is the only boss I've actually beaten before in this DLC. It doesn't have that much health, but its attacks are quite aggressive. I got lucky with it going for multiple slow wing attacks round 1, and my bleed damage on this guy was ridiculous. But of course, that led to me getting a little cocky. And if you let your guard down for even a second in Dark Souls, it'll humble you real fast. Since I did so well on my first attempt, I decided to bust out the Jagged Ghost Blade. Its damage is weaker, but it has quite a fast moveset. I like its over-the-head murder stab when you press R2. Using my ninja skills, I'm able to roll and evade most of his attacks. And even an only slightly upgraded Jagged Ghost Blade is no joke. I could do an entire run with this thing. Well, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. And honestly, I'm excited for this. I enjoy learning new bosses in Souls games, even if they bring me to the brink of insanity. Right off the bat, I realized that Artorias loves mixing up wide-sweeping attacks with quick thrusts. And just like Gwyn, he doesn't leave you many opportunities to stop and heal. It takes me a minute to get a feel for the dodge timing on a lot of his slam down attacks. The good news is my damage is looking pretty decent. I quickly learn what the deal is with his purple fire, and his triple front flip slam down attack. Man, this guy is relentless. And you know what? I'm starting to see his relationship with Seath. The two of them must have gotten along real nicely. I do think I'm improving though, at very least with the run back. Why does this guy keep throwing strange juices at me? I was able to make it pretty far into the fight on a few early attempts, but if I wanted to beat Artorias, I'd have to really lock in. After some devastating failures and a long nail-biter run, I was finally able to enter that flow state where you just dance to the rhythm of the fight. And with Artorias' attack patterns successfully downloaded, at last I was able to dodge and punish him effectively. From there I had the pleasure of exploring Ulasil for the first time. It's quite a nice place, I gotta say. But for some reason, the locals don't seem to like me very much. The next boss I happened to stumble upon was the Father of the Abyss himself, Manus. I really didn't know what I was getting myself in for with this. I had seen videos of people fighting Manus before, and even heard some people claim that he was the hardest boss in the game. He seems like some kind of deranged monkey, but after googling the lore, people seem to think that he was the furtive pygmy, corrupted by the Dark Soul. All I know is this guy wants to smash me like a bug. He's got a crazy amount of range, and his tactics are ruthless. It didn't take long for me to be introduced to his slinky arm, and the absolute insanity that is his wombo combo. Oh gosh, this is giving me Margit flashbacks all over again. You know what time it is, boys. Time to fight through the pain. After my trial by fire, I started picking up on Manus' habits. I figured out that whenever he lets out a cry, he's about to unleash that insane combo, which allowed me to back off and get some healing in. After many attempts, I finally had a good run going, and Manus started busting out his magic attacks. Somehow I was able to keep my cool and remember my training, and slowly worked my way to the end of his health bar. I only needed 2 more good hits to finally finish him off, but my health was dangerously low as well, so I looked for an opportunity to get some Estus in. Sadly, I misjudged the recovery on his attack and was killed. After quite a few more attempts, I finally got to the halfway point again, and Manus was busting out moves I had never seen before. He must have been getting tired of fighting me because he started spamming magic like crazy. It's a good thing I invested so many points into endurance this run, or else I wouldn't be able to deal with this. By some miracle, I had crawled my way back to the end of the fight, and my heart was beating like crazy. I just needed 1 more hit to finish him off, and I got it. I have to say, despite how many hours that took, Manus is one of my new favorite fights in the game. Next, I get the gold tracer from a mysterious woman. It's a bleed weapon with some flashy attacks. It's not time to celebrate yet though, because there's still a dragon on the loose. I hire a giant to take care of it, but he only gets the job half done. It looks like I'll have to handle this myself. Is Kalameet a Cyclops dragon? Let me know in the comments. Either way, I get caught in the gaze of the Eye of Sauron, and have my brain scrambled by his telekinetic screeching. I quickly learned that his black fire is deceptively difficult to roll through, and just like Artorias and Seath, he thinks that spinning is a good trick. I also figured out that you should never stare mindlessly at a dragon while it's breathing fire. And of course, now the life hunt scythe is on the verge of breaking. Thank goodness I bought a repair kit earlier so I don't have to back out of the entire DLC. I decided to press on for now with my damaged weapon to get some practice in, but surprisingly the red tier stone ring was coming in super clutch and making up for my lost damage. I was playing really risky and just hitting him relentlessly while I was on such low health. Eventually I died, and the tragic part is I would have beaten him on only my 3rd attempt if my durability hadn't run out. I guess Kalameet couldn't let me off the hook that easily because he quickly got his revenge. Okay, can someone explain this one to me? It looks like I got stuck inside of Kalameet's head while he was breathing fire, and I still took no damage. Somehow figuring out Kalameet's attack patterns came more naturally to me than the last 2 bosses, and it wasn't too long before I made a discovery. By staying around the outside of his legs, you can often bait out his stomp attack. This can be punished by whacking his leg and immediately rolling to the left. Then just rinse and repeat the cycle for some easy damage. With some practice, I was able to get 4 or 5 hits in using this technique. After quite a few attempts, I had a good one on my hands, and by two-handing the scythe, my damage was looking really good. I once again used my ninja skills to evade all of his attacks and chopped up his toes. The dragon really wasn't too bad, I feel like. I toss all the Lord Souls into the giant fire pot, and there's only one threat left to face. For Gwyn, I pull out the Golden Tracer and go for some parries, but my timing is a little bit rusty. In my defense, I've been playing on the Switch with a 10-foot HDMI cable running to my capture card, so I am dealing with a little bit of input delay. The Golden Tracer has such a sick looking moveset, it's a shame that you can only get it really late into the game. I throw on the Hornet Ring, and my critical damage is actually looking pretty decent, especially for a weapon that's much less upgraded than my Scythe. Gwyn's rapid swings are really going to put my ninja skills to the test. Okay, now check this out. I've slowly been building up bleed, and when I finally land a parry and bleed procs, I take out like a third of his health bar. But of course, whenever things are going so well, I always find a way to choke at the very end. I had another really good run going with the Golden Tracer. I was playing patient and landing all of my parries. I got my hits in where I could, but at the very end, I parried slightly too early and it was all over. Eventually, I decided to return to the roots of this run. I pulled out the washing pole and power within, and to become a true bleed ninja, I put away the shield and decided to parry with my bare hand. I don't even want to talk about how many attempts this actually took, because it's pretty embarrassing for the Gwyn fight. But it's just like I said earlier, whenever I get too cocky, Dark Souls always has a way of putting me back in my place. Thankfully this time, I was able to put a massive katana through Gwyn's back, and the Lord of Sunlight was no more. So can you beat Dark Souls with only bleed weapons? Yes, and they are quite powerful, just like people say. But taking on Artorias, Kalameet, and Manus for the first time was quite challenging for me. I had a lot of fun making this, and if you had fun, you can help me out by liking this video and subscribing to my small channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.